Namaste, Jay Bharat. One of the news that comes to me today is that the Chinese companies are offering heavy discounts to Bharat on electronics or such areas. We buy from China this electronic components and what is it, raw materials for our pharma. These are the two things we normally import. And the Chinese companies are offering discount, heavy discount, asking us if we buy in bulk. And I don't know what's the response of her. They have not responded at all. But this offer is there because the Chinese companies have gone helpless. The Chinese companies doesn't mean that they're always Chinese owned companies. Mostly, they're multinational companies, originally based from some other nation, who would go to manufacturing in China for cheap, for the lesser production cost. See, cost of production in different societies shall be different because for the expense that is involved in producing something in China is much lesser, cheaper than many other places. That's why companies go to produce, and China took advantage of this. There are two things. First one, their people get job, so they're comfortable. And number two, so for per item produced in one of the multinational companies' factory in China, the China country takes some amount levy or something that becomes their income. So they have economically thrived at the cost of the US precisely. Let me say, mostly it's at the cost of US they became very rich. And normally, if they had been comfortably coexisting with others, there would not have been any problem to the entire world. But then China, when they became rich, China is a dictatorship kind of country. They have nothing to do with democracy. Though Marx is very vociferous about something called a scientific democracy, but then that is non-existent. Even Marxism itself is non-existent. Marx has created beautiful fantasy about coexistence of human beings. Though he tried his best to understand, but this fundamental understanding of human being itself is gone erroneous. His postulates were wrong. So once the postulates are wrong, whatever bill you build on top of the postulates shall not be real. So that's the problem with Marx. He has wonderful theories, but an absolute fantasy there. Absolute fantasies there. They have nothing to do with ground realities. So China turns out to be dictatorship, and the rulers is typically despotic, and the means to exist as a despot is through the party, the Communist Party. That is simple as that. And so long as the Chinese administration is able to provide food to the people of China, jobs to them, they would continue. They would continue in their authority. But then, when this is shaken, we don't know what shall happen. There can be possible unrest. The Tiananmen Square may not repeat every time. Tiananmen Square, that happened some time back, so many years before, may not repeat every time. They may not be able to suppress them. They may not be able to suppress them to that extent. They have survived the Tiananmen Square. There may be people behind it, I do not know. The international politics and geopolitics is not very clear for everyone to understand. There could be something, and the same thing could repeat. When the people suffer, there shall be unrest. And once there is unrest, it can go in any directions. The people people in the world normally would want China to be a democratic country. I don't know if it is possible. They were never democratic for a long time. I don't know, they were never democratic. So, democracy is a civilized way of existence for any society as we understand things. They could say that our understanding is wrong. That's their right. They have the right to speak. So, let them. It's only on a debate we can discuss such things. So, the problem is that The Chinese companies are facing difficulty. China itself is facing difficulty. They cannot sell their product just like that with almost three times they were selling in the past. And though the US had frozen the tariff which they imposed for 90 days, 3 months roughly, they've excluded China in the sense that there is no relaxation to Chinese tariff. But the intentions are very clear. China is became rich actually. They became second largest economy. They have good technical hand. They have used all facilities, maybe through copying technology, maybe through reverse engineering, but that also requires some kind of smartness. Doing this reverse engineering also calls for some kind of smartness. It's stealing in a way. It's a kind of stealing in a way, but the thief also has to have some abilities. So they have acquired technologically advanced, no matter how it is stolen or borrowed or studied. They have technology advance, they have money, and they have this one central rule which is very strong. That's very important. Very strong rule because it's a dictatorship. Very strong rule. With all those things, they become very rich and very powerful. But the problem with China is that they don't rest with themselves. They're ambitious over the borders of others. They wanted to put their hands in everyone's plate. They wanted to put their hands in wherever it is possible and snatch things from others with absolute disregard to any other human being other than their own themselves, not even their own people. They are not very concerned about their own people as they project themselves to be, but about themselves, their own comforts, their own keen whatever kinds of things. Yes, it happens in any kind of dictatorship. So China is becomes let's see. Let me put it in a very simple term. China had become a nuisance in the world. Just keep scratching here, scratching. Then they neither live in comfort and peace, nor would let others live in peace. So they keep doing this. They fly over Taiwan. They will do this. They will do that. There are things that they will keep doing. And remember, Chinese army has no experience of battle and war. They have only been speaking. When they actually go to war, they will know what happens. When they had this conflict with our border people, they ran away. They ran away in that Doklam, Standoff, all those things. They ran away. They couldn't face the soldiers of Bharat, especially with big eyes. I'm talking about the Sikh regiment. They happened to pass that way. They attacked them back. And that, of course, we know those stories. I don't know how many other people in the world know it. So their army is not that experienced, and because of their one child policy, they have got all pompaded milk babies in their army, not very serious fighters, and their equipments are also not very sturdy and robust. They won't stand so much. These problems are there with them because they're stolen or borrowed or imitated the technology they have used. But then the problem with them is that they encroach into other people's territory and create havoc, so becomes a nuisance. That's what China is, a nuisance. And with this tariff, there's a possibility that they'll crumble. So the Chinese companies, they look at Bharat. They want to sell with us, and we know historically, traditionally, not the people of China. I'm just very clear about this. Not the people of China, but the administration of China. With the people of China, the Bharat has got long-standing relations. They're supposed to be Buddhists, and they're supposed to have cultural relations with Bharat. The Kung Fu is basically gone from Bharat. With all those relations are there, but then all those things were overlooked by China when they talk to us. So they, once the US is not an option for them, they would like Bharat to be an option. But obviously, we don't trust them, we can't trust them. Our experience with them is like this, similar to Pakistan, because they say something and just do the opposite. Pakistan's problem is very clear, but there is no one accountable to them. Whom do you talk to in Pakistan? The army, or the Maulavis, or the elected civil government, All the three run parallel administration. So you, no matter one administration tells you something, the other is not going to obey. So you do not know what to do with Pakistan. There is no point in talking. So we stopped talking to them. And in case of China, whatever they say, we can't trust. They would talk beautiful, beautiful things. Way back during the Nehruvian time, the Nehru blindly and bluntly believed China. Indo-Chinese Bhai Bhai, and that Bhai had come and attacked us overnight through the darkness of the night. So this is the history of China, but I don't think we would trust. Nonetheless, they are helpless. They are trying to find solutions and solaces. So they are trying to offer discounts to Bharat, thinking that that's one way they could try to escape. Anyway, we shall meet again with some other thought. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Siya Ram.